All right, what's up, everybody? Ask Coach Ben podcast brought to you by Muscle Farm. Here with Jim Lawson from Jiu-Jitsu Magazine. What do we have today, Jim?
Hey, what's going on, Coach? So I think a common problem that happens with a lot of folks who train in any discipline, whether it's strength and conditioning, lifting, swimming, you name it, but jiu-jitsu is no different. The idea of hitting plateaus. How do you identify them? How can we kind of work our way through a plateau? And what is a plateau?
Plateaus, right? This is like a common, I get this a lot. I get this question a lot. How do we overcome a plateau? I've been stuck. I have a jiu-jitsu academy, so a lot of my jiu-jitsu students ask me this a lot. Usually it happens somewhere between like white and blue belt. This can be, a plateau can hit you from anything, right? It can be from diet. It can be trying to lose weight. You're trying to gain muscle. You're trying to improve your jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of things, right? So first, I would say you got to recognize what a plateau is. Can you even recognize it? Can you even really say that you've hit a plateau? I would say
so real quick, to define a plateau is essentially you're not
seeing any progress.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
You've been stagnant. You're let's say you're on a diet, right? And you've been trying to lose weight, but you haven't lost weight, and maybe you're even going up the other way. That would be like a plateau. Your progress has stopped. In jiu-jitsu, it could be like, okay, you're in class training and you notice that your skills aren't getting better. You're not able to people in class maybe are getting better than you, or you just feel like you haven't improved, right? And it's a lot of times it's like a mental thing. It's hard to identify and hard to put your finger on. So I try not to. If somebody says that they feel they're plateaued, I just generally just say, look, you're probably just in a stagnant point of your training, and I have a couple things to help them with that. The first is just identifying that plateaus can actually be a good thing, right? So, any endeavor you do, right? Losing weight.
No, sorry.
What was that?
That's Siri.
I said something to trigger Siri.
Yeah.
So anyway, plateaus can be a good thing, right? So good as in anything you're doing, right? Anything you do that has an end goal or indicators of progress. It's never going to be a linear ascent, right? It's never going to be like, okay, this is how it's going to work. Or if you're losing weight, it's never going to be like, okay, this is how you're going to lose a pound a week until you're ultimately at your goal. Nothing works that way.
Okay.
All right. Plateaus are good. The number one thing I have people recognize is that plateaus are not only good, but they're a part of life, right? The reality of life is that you're going to hit plateaus on any goal, right? It's a part of the daily grind. Anything worth achieving, you're gonna have a plateau.
The peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
And plateaus.
And just to reiterate this again, it's never a linear. It's all linear thing. It's always non-linear, right? Any goal, right? Look at any chart of somebody's progress. It's always going to be.
And that's in either
non-linear.
direction, right?
Either direction.
Either direction.
I like to use the nutrition example, right? So a nutrition example would be like, say your goal is to lose 30 pounds this year, right? You're not going to lose 1 pound a week, right? That's not how it's going to work. You're going to lose maybe something like this. You might lose 10 pounds in the first 3 months, and then you don't lose much weight. And then you adjust a few things, you lower your calories a little more, and you're going to lose another 10 pounds maybe 3/4 of the year has passed, right? And then maybe it's very hard to lose that final 10 pounds, right? So you have to really change your training and really do certain things, right? And that's fine. That would be kind of how progress is made, right? Another thing is sometimes plateaus, when you hit a plateau, you want to stay in that plateau for as long as you can, because that's your new normal, right? That's your new homeostasis.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So we talked about this a little before we started the show, but we have many friends who are just, it doesn't seem like they work out too hard, but they're always jacked and ripped, right? And you talk to them, you come to find out, well, they were an athlete in high school and they've had six packs since they were 14, right? Now they're like 30 years old. They still look good and they work out, 3 times a week. We work out 3 times a week and we're putting on a pot belly, So why is it that person was able to maintain that physique over time is because their normal is 12% body fat, right? Their normal is to walk around with a six pack. That's their normal. Somebody else's normal might be, 20% body fat. They've been 20% body fat their whole life, right? At the age of 40, they're like, okay, I want a six pack. It's going to be very, very hard because the body's going to fight back, right? Plateaus work in the same way. The longer you stay within a plateau, especially when it comes to things like, body fat percentage and things like that, the better it is. Not the better it is, but it's just a part of, progress, right? It's actually a good thing that you're staying there because that's becoming who you are, right? Now, when it comes to skill-based things like jiu-jitsu, it can be a little tricky, right? Because being stuck in a plateau or not improving, there might not be the same benefit, right? It's not a biological benefit of reaching your new you. It's now you need to you want to get better and you're just not. Okay, so these are kind of like two different things.
Yeah, so one is genetic base, we'll say, and then
Yes.
the other one is more of a skill based.
Yeah, it's the end goal of, in essence, in any endeavor is a plateau, right? Say your end goal is if you're a competitor and your end goal is to win the worlds, right? If you win the worlds, you've reached your goal, right? What's the next goal? It is a plateau. So a lot of times
Not a
you have
bad
to
place
think.
to plateau, right?
Yeah. So a lot of times you got to think. The plateaus aren't bad. I think the message that I'm hammering home here is that plateaus are a part of training. It's a part of dieting. It's part of life, and you kind of want to embrace it as opposed to kind of just say, "Oh my God, I've hit a plateau and it's all negative. It's all bad from here on out." So I always tell people, when in doubt, write it out. Write out the plateau. Now, if you've been in what you think is a plateau for years or months or extended period of time and you're not happy about it, then when we get to points 2 and 3, we'll talk about things that actually affect change, right? And the last thing of this first point, just kind of saying that plateaus are a good thing or it's a part of life, is just that a lot of the elite competitors that I've trained, a lot of the top performers I've seen, they don't even acknowledge plateaus as a thing because they embrace boredom, right? And a lot of times people think they're in a plateau because they're bored, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's just boring. I don't want to do the same drill 100 times. Well, the top performers, they love doing that drill. They embrace the boredom and they don't accept that there is a plateau, right? And that can be for anything, right? That can be for jiu-jitsu, right? If you're doing, these drills, if you watch the Meows, right? If you watch these guys, their training looks pretty boring, honestly. They're doing these drills for hours and hours, like 2 hours of just back-to-back drills. I'm bored just looking at it, right? But guess what? They're probably not bored. They probably love it.
Right. And you actually brought something up, again, before we start talking, how Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant,
Yes.
at the end of a game, they're in the gym all by themselves after a game, throwing up those 500 jump shots.
800 jump shots a day from Kobe, embracing that boredom, right? I don't think Kobe has ever thought of the word plateau. I'm guessing, but
Right.
It doesn't seem like it to me, right? Because then if you don't embrace that boredom, embrace that plateau, how would you go out there and shoot 800 shots every day, and try to make 800 jump shots every day, right? So again, hammering this point home, a lot of times it's just that the mindset of plateaus are bad. It's a negative thing. And that if you change that mindset, that alone can sometimes dig you out of that hole, right? So in certain times, like a diet situation, it's actually a good thing, right? I'm pretty fortunate because I'm actually one of those people where I worked out very, very hard in high school and college to the point where I don't have to do much to get in shape because my body has been in shape for a very long period of time. Now, as I get older, I can't rely on this, but I'm fortunate in that department. I have friends who in college and high school were extremely out of shape, right? For them to reach a single digit body fat now that they're in their late 30s and 40s, it's going to be much, much harder, right? So they're going to plateau a lot more than me, because their set point is so much higher. Their body fat set point is so much higher.
Okay.
Right? So anyway,
so wrapping up the first point,
yeah,
it's
plateaus are good. They're part of life.
so embrace the plateau.
Embrace it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything to add to that, Jim?
No, I think that's a very important concept in itself, is to don't look at the plateau as something negative and get frustrated by it. I guess what you're saying is, if I understand it correctly, is embrace that as a good thing and stay in that groove of just keep doing it, keep being bored, so to speak, and you'll see improvements.
Yeah, and it's not the same advice I'd have for everybody. I would hammer home this advice that plateaus are good for a competitor, especially because they need to embrace that boredom, and in order to become a top performer, you need to embrace that. For somebody who is more recreational, or you're just doing this for fun and you're not having fun anymore, okay, now maybe we don't embrace the plateau. We do a couple things. So this brings us to number 2, right? So the number 2 is very short. Okay, number 2, this is something that is one of the hardest things for people to do. Is just take time off. All right, just take time off. A lot of times, your body, for example, will force you to take time off if you don't take time off, right? So if you're overdoing it in one department, like you've been training jiu-jitsu for just way too long with no breaks, your joints don't heal, your ligaments aren't healing, maybe your muscles are barely healing, you're going to get an injury, something's going to happen, right? So if you feel worn down, if that's the plateau we're talking about, you're feeling low energy, your body hurts,
broken.
That's a different thing.
Okay.
That is somewhat of a plateau. You're not getting better, but you're not getting better because you're not allowing your body to recharge. Okay, that is a different type of plateau, but it's still a plateau.
And this is a very common one too, right? Because the competitive mindset is to push through that, but at the same time, it's that double-edged sword that could be holding you back, right?
Yeah, for sure. If your body can't recover and you're not getting better because of that, or you're just mentally drained of doing whatever it is you're doing, dieting, for example. You've been dieting for 2 years and you're just like, you know what, it's time to eat a pizza. Just take a diet break, right? If you're doing jiu-jitsu and you've been training hard for 8 straight months and you haven't taken a week off ever, take a week off. Come back re-energized. You're not going to lose anything by taking a week off most of the time, right? A little timing here and there, but I've never taken time off and come back feeling like, oh my God, like I don't know what I'm doing anymore. It's almost always been like, ooh, I actually move a lot better. I feel better. Things are always good. And unfortunately for me, a lot of times my body has forced itself to take time off because I tend to overdo it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that's the second thing. Just remove yourself from whatever it is that you're doing. And of course, this is when the plateaus get they're really bugging you. You need to take some action here. You can't grind through it anymore. And maybe you're not a competitor. You're just a guy that's training. Take time off of whatever it is you're doing and re-energize. Take a week off, 2 weeks off. One of my favorite things to do, which I almost never do, but I wish I could do all the time, is take I call it like a 9-day vacation, which basically the Friday, let's say this Friday, right? Mm-hmm. Starting this Friday, I will just completely stop all physical activity like jiu-jitsu or weightlifting just to give my body a break. And I will take that weekend off. I'll take the whole next week off through the weekend, and I'll start on Monday. So that's you basically get 2 weekends and a week. You know what I'm saying? So you get like a 9-day break, right? So that's something that hopefully that's 9 days I can count, right?
All right, yeah,
something like that. Anyway,
whole week plus 2 days. There you go.
Whole week plus the weekend, right? So that's something that I like to do. I used to do a lot more than I do now. I own businesses now and have a lot more on my plate. But that's something that's always helped me, that 9-day off.
So with that 9-day off principle, using kind of combining that with another principle of active rest, is that really the same thing? So this 9 days, you know what? I don't want to do jujitsu. I'm not going to do strength and conditioning, but you know what? I'm going to take up hiking. I'm going to go on some hiking trails. Do you think that's a good place to start, or no? You pretty much need to rest, period.
It really depends. I don't think anybody can really
No
tell
blanket
you the
statement,
exact.
right?
Yeah, they can't make a blanket statement. But I personally think just taking that time off to just not think about it is the most productive, right? If you take that time off and then you fill that time in with other things, people a lot of times can overdo it, right? I have a lot of athletes who they just don't understand what taking time off means. So they when I say, hey, just take 3 days off, well, in those 3 days they did like 4 yoga classes and they did like cryotherapy, they did acupuncture, they did active workouts, they hiked 3 times, they went surfing. I mean, this is not taking time off. You basically filled that time that you're supposed to just meditate and just not use energy and decided to use that energy for something else. Not quite what I was talking about. And that's, when I say take time off, I usually mean just do nothing. You ever see that movie, Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Oh, yeah.
Do less. Do nothing. That's it. Don't fill that time with other things unless it's recreational things that you enjoy doing that don't take much energy. Right. Okay, so
and real quick, shout out to Blue Belt Russell Brand.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yep. Yes, sir. All right. So number 1, plateaus are good. Number 2, take time off. Okay, this is the easiest. The third recommendation is actually like a ton of recommendations, but these are like things that you can actively do that might help with a plateau that you're having trouble overcoming. Okay, and again, I think number 1 and number 2, there's a reason why there's a list, and 1 and 2 come before 3, right? So if you get to number 3, that means you understand number 1, and then you've thought about number 2 or have already done number 2. Okay, so number 3 would just be the things that I would call like other stuff, right? Other things that you can do. Number 1, checking your compliance. This is an idea I got from my mentor, Alan Aragon. Check your compliance with whatever goal that you have, right? Whether it's diet, let's say it's diet, right? And you're like, oh, I'm on this diet, I'm not losing weight. Are you actually doing the diet properly? If you're supposed to be eating under 2,500 calories, are you tracking that, or are you just thinking you're doing that, right? So do your due diligence on your compliance, right? If your jiu-jitsu is suffering, you're not getting better at jiu-jitsu, how consistently are you training? Are you training twice a week and thinking that you're going to outperform people in your class that are training 5-6 times a week? Check your compliance. Are you actually doing the things that you need to do to get better, right? Instead of just going through the motions. Having a logbook kind of goes hand in hand with that. A lot of times when you log things down, you tend to be more consistent at it, right? Don't have much more to say about the logbook. There's like apps that people use that can help you track things, right? If, for example, if you want to drink more water, right? What's the easiest way to drink more water? Probably just buy that gallon of water so it's looking at you in the face. And secondly, track it. So every day you write down, okay, I drank this amount of water at this time. And it'll probably help you with your goal. Gratitude journal. So something that I try to do but am terrible at is just be grateful for even having the opportunity to work towards a goal, right? If your goal is to lose weight, well, be happy you lost 5 pounds in the first week, right? If your goal is to compete at the local tournament and win, be happy you signed up and you made it there. Document everything along the way. Be grateful for certain things. Gratitude has always shown to be a positive for mindset, and so it helps, right? So helps you with getting to goals.
And it really does work. There is, at least for me personally, there's something that happens when I see the link on my writings and connect it to my physical activities. So if I'm trying to improve my run time, there's something about writing it down and seeing that improvement on paper. it's motivating.
Yeah.
It helps keep the drive alive, so to speak.
Yeah. Some people, are able to just write it on their phone or an app or something. Some people think it's better to write it physically on paper. I would tend to agree with the physically on. There's something about writing the words.
Yeah, that creates that connection.
Yes, there's something about that. I think a lot of that's lost nowadays with technology. But either way, whatever works for you. Okay, the next two are more directed things to focus on. So focus on another goal temporarily. All right, and the best type of goal to focus on temporarily would be a goal that's in alignment with your primary goal, right? So, for example, I want to lose weight, but I've hit a black plateau. I decided to take a diet break, came back, didn't really help much, still hit that plateau. I checked my compliance. I'm tracking the calories correctly. Okay, maybe I shouldn't focus that much on my diet anymore, or just continue doing what I'm doing with my diet, but instead focus on something that will bring me to the same goal, right? The goal was to lose weight. Great. Let me up my activity level. Let me do, instead of 2 jiu-jitsu classes, let me do 5 jiu-jitsu classes. So now I'm burning the additional 3 classes of calories. Then let me add a cardio day too, right? So focus on something else that will also get you to your primary goal. It's in alignment, right? Maybe the goal is another, like an abstract goal, like getting better at jiu-jitsu, right? Getting better at jiu-jitsu. Well, maybe your body and your brain just isn't ready to get better on the terms that you wanted at the moment, right? Pick up something else. Pick up maybe you've always wanted also to deadlift 400 pounds. Okay, great. Why don't you make that a primary goal for the next 4 weeks? Let's deadlift. Let's try to get up to 400-pound deadlift in maybe 4 weeks. Too short, like 4 months. So we're 4 months to get a 400-pound deadlift. Okay, assuming you're close. Maybe we could instead of focus on getting better in the training room or whatever, focus on signing up for 3 competitions in the next 3 months.
Yeah, there you go. So it's almost like this deflection where you change the priorities on. Let's say if I want to get better at sweeps, and that's not happening, we'll have a secondary of being able to hold a particular position I want to be able to, let's say achieve and hold mount for a good portion.
Yeah,
of
that's
3
a good
seconds. Point. And going back to or improve your run time, but deflect the primary and shift your top 5. Goals, right? And then just work on that.
That's you actually brought up a really good point, Jim. And the point of having maybe a goal like you want to get better at sweeps, right? That's a very specific, right? Or your goal, you just want to get better at defending from the mount, right? These are very specific goals, right? When it comes to things that specific, you should probably focus on the primary thing, okay? Because let's say my goal is to just not get submitted from the mount or have very good mount defense, right? I signing up for tournaments might not help that goal directly. It might, but there's a certain point where you have to, if you have a very specific goal, you have to focus on the SAID principle, right? The specific adaptation to imposed demands. If I want to get better at sweeps and I just start wrestling, I'm not going to get better at sweeps. Okay, you have to do the sweeps. Okay, so there are certain goals where if that is your goal, you must focus on that goal, right? And then there's other goals like general goals. I just want to get better at jiu-jitsu. Okay, now we can find other things that are in alignment, and we can work towards that, and that will help you break the plateau, right? So I just want to be, upfront and transparent with that right there. If it's a very specific goal, you should focus on that thing. If it's a general goal, abstract goal, then we have different avenues. So there we have it.
So let's go ahead and recap. So you have, we're talking about plateaus here. So, number 1, you have the embracing of
embrace
the plateau.
It. You might not be able to overcome plateaus, or the plateaus might not be something that you can overcome at this moment with the plan of action that you have, or whatever it is. embrace it. Keep doing what you're doing. It's a part of the daily grind.
And then we have number 2 is rest and recovery.
Take time off. Sometimes the plateau is because your body or your mind is just cooked. It's had enough, and you need time off.
Okay, and then the third and final, which I think is really, I like this one. This one might be my favorite one, is check your compliance.
Yeah, the other stuff. There was a lot of stuff in the other stuff category.
Right,
But checking
right.
your compliance is huge.
Pretty key.
You might not even be doing the things that you're supposed to be doing and saying you've hit a plateau. So, yeah, the logbook, gratitude journal, focus on another goal temporarily. If it's a specific goal, maybe spend more time on that specific goal. If you want to get better at sweeps, don't just go to jiu-jitsu class and roll, just randomly.
Right.
Focus on the sweep that you're doing.
And to that, I just kind of want to add my own little 2 cents on that is, let's say, just using sweeps, since we're already talking about it, is really going into the minutia of a sweep and breaking down why your sweeps aren't working or how you can make your sweeps even better by pretty much setting the preamble to the final sweep. Like, how can you get your opponent, before the sweep even happens, how do you get your opponent in that optimal position to execute the sweep?
I mean,
so
there's so many things, Jim. There's so many things we can like go into that direction. I said earlier that if it's a sweep, right, we should focus on the sweep, right? The said principle, specific adaptation to imposed demands. But at the same time, just to play devil's advocate, you could also say, maybe that person could improve their leg strength. Maybe their core strength could be improved, and by improving your core strength, your sweeps will get better. So there's just many ways to look at it.
Right. So very, very good, Coach. I think these were helpful items to really actually change the way people look at a plateau. I think it's very important in giving people a path to improve whatever their skill
I
is.
don't quite understand it when my students come to me even and say, "Hey, Coach, I'm not getting any better." I don't honestly. It just bounces right off my head. It's like, you're not getting better. What do you mean? Everybody else is getting better, so maybe you are getting better.
Right.
So anyway, those are some tips to help if you have problems overcoming plateaus. Hopefully, the number one thing in there, I'm going to just repeat, is plateaus may be a good thing, and you may have to embrace them.
Very good. So once again, if you want to get in contact, Coach Ben, he's on Instagram at Coach BZ. And then also, Coach Ben mentioned, we're sponsored by Muscle Farm. So go to musclefarm.com, use the promo code BEN, B-E-N. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm not speaking at school, right?
Nope, that's correct.
All right. Use the promo code BEN at musclefarm.com. And what do they get with that? Is it like?
I think it's $10 off of 60.
There you
so
go.
You get $10 off.
All right. There you go. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Jiu-Jitsu Mag.